And let me just respond on behalf of the board in terms of the first point. No one has really forgotten the presentation you made to the committee. In fact, I know Mrs. Coates has put it on the agenda for our next meeting. We simply did not have time to follow up discussion after you presented. So my apologies if I didn't make that clear to you. It's not forgotten, and we are looking at it, and it will come up again for discussion. In terms of the second item, thank you for the comments. Well, I can tell you that I know Mr. Calavita in the Transportation Department, and I did mention this at the public meeting, I believe, did take a look at busing in terms of efficiencies, and I believe we mentioned we were going to reduce that item by about $300,000 to help bring the budget into balance. So I do believe that there is a look at busing efficiencies that are taking place. But the other issues you raised are issues we'll gladly take a look at, and we'll turn over to the Facilities and Finance Committee and Transportation Committee, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, could you just discuss what steps we took already, relative to continuing to incur costs this year? I think at the last meeting.
Oh yeah, and thank you, Dan. And lastly, and actually we started this before the holiday. We started in the fall, anticipating that there would be some financial difficulty at the state level. We did talk to all the building administrators about, well, not quite putting a freeze on spending at that point, more of a judicious review of all the requests coming in for spending, so that we could keep better track of the expenses. And we did that. And I really credit the building administration for doing that. Earlier this month, as soon as we came back from vacation, Mr. Calavita, in fact, did send out an email to all the principals in terms of putting a freeze on spending, but freeze with this caveat: if there's something of an emergency nature or absolutely essential to maintain and keep a program running, we would then process that expense. But other than that, we are holding back on it. And then just yesterday, I believe, we did get the email from the state superintendent of schools suggesting that all districts do exactly what we had already done.
I think it might be worth adding for the public's information, since they didn't see this data without going into the numbers. I know this board is focused on reducing legal expenses, and had a specific budget amount for that. And in reviewing the bills, which I know we all received, I think we're significantly under budget there in terms of below the amount that was budgeted, and the trend seems to be decreasing. So I would say we're doing a good job in that area as well.
We are, and maybe Mr. Calavita could comment on that, because I know he has been really staying on top of that. Yes.
I mean, as we have been attempting to reduce our reliance upon legal counsel, as was our goal. But again, a lot of in doing that, we haven't had this year the instances of needing the counsel as we may have in the past. Our negotiations, we're not negotiating right now this year, and the small groups that we were negotiating with, as was the change from the past, Mr. Lang and I took on that role as chief negotiators instead of using counsel. So that was a big shift in attempting to cut costs. Also attempting to rely more on our own expertise in contract review, personnel matters where we would resolve our own differences rather than seeking out counsel and only using counsel when absolutely necessary. So those few strategies have led to our ability to reduce legal expenses, but we also can't discount that we are not in full negotiations right now. So that is also a way that we've been able to reduce costs.
But that's versus the budgeted number, though. So we knew we weren't
Correct.
in negotiations, so we're below that. Yes, even so.
And I think we're probably well 100,000 or so below what we were anticipating. So continued diligence on our part will keep that number down.
And the Barger firm looks like they've waived now for December as well. So it's October, November, December, their retainer.
Correct. And I think I don't have it in front of me yet. I think their total bill for December was only $1,700 or something like that. Yeah. Is that accurate, or is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right here.
So we are
1862, 1,862. Pretty simple.
At our meeting last week, Dr. Butler did a great job of explaining what other measures we have taken. Unfortunately, if you watch it on TV, the voice system broke down shortly into Dr. Butler's presentation. So maybe sometime in the future we can go over some of the major issues that you.
We'll be back before the board and the public with further presentations, probably starting in February and March. So probably starting in February.
We are anticipating some information about budget. It was supposed to come today, didn't. We are expecting something in the form of guidelines and initial information to be passed out this week. So we hope. Well, we probably won't have state aid information. We will have some basic guidance on how to proceed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's good that we, as a group, decided to put that freeze in. When we did, it was before the state came down and said do that. What concerns me a bit is that the state is saying that, and I know we've got, I think it's 4.6 million from the state. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bob. It's around that. So I'm now a little, again, kind of getting not such a great vibe that they're telling us to freeze. Any input, any further update on the state funding and what we, anything further on that topic?
No, nothing other than what Bob has just mentioned. We just got the advisory from the commissioner yesterday. It came in yesterday, looking at it today. But no, nothing, no more guidance at all. But I'm with you. As soon as I read it and tried to read between the lines, I'm getting this sinking feeling that as much as they may want to fund us at the level they've promised, I'm not sure they're going to have the dollars to do so.
And further reading between the lines, as Dr. Butler and I have gotten accustomed to doing over the past several months, the fact that they want us to stop spending means they want us to generate a surplus, which they would like us to in turn appropriate to compensate for a lack of state aid. So that is my reading in between the lines and shared with many of my colleagues and I think Dr. Butler as well. So that's where it appears that they're driving districts because they know they will not have the funding to support us at existing levels.
Does any other member of the public wish to address the board at this time?